charge the individuals concerned. Accordingly, summonses in these cases have been obtained.
So, the Labour MP Elliot Morley faces 2 charges under the Theft Act of 1968 over payments totalling £30,000. Likewise, Labour MP David Chater will face 3 charges under the same act for payments totalling £20,000. The third Labour MP who will be charged is Jim Devine, who's facing 2 counts totalling £9,000. And the Conservative peer Lord Hanningfield faces 6 charges over what the DPP said were numerous claims.
Mr Speaker, I want to talk about the bill.
One of those charged, David Chater, was in the Commons today. The DPP says he dishonestly claimed for IT services, the rent of a property he already owned, and for purportedly renting another property from his mother. Fellow Labour MP Elliot Morley stands accused of dishonestly claiming excessive mortgage expenses on a property in Winterton in Lincolnshire. He's also accused of claiming expenses on the property after its mortgage was paid off. The third Labour MP, Jim Devine, is accused of using false invoices to claim for cleaning services and stationery. Today, along with his fellow MPs, he said he'd done nothing wrong.
I'm devastated with the news. I knew that from where I was sitting, I had no case to answer with allegations that have been made. There are now new allegations. Clearly, I need to go and investigate them. But I think this should have been dealt with in the first instance with the House of Commons.
This is the Conservative peer Lord Hanningfield. The DPP says he made numerous claims for overnight stays in London, while the record showed he'd been driven home. In a statement today, Lord Hanningfield said, "I have cooperated fully with the police throughout their inquiries. I totally refute the charges and will vigorously defend myself against them." 6 parliamentarians were looked at by police, and the DPP said that 1 Lord Clerk would not be prosecuted. A 6th case is still being investigated. Gary O'Donoghue, BBC News, Westminster.
Our political correspondent Laura Kuensberg is in Westminster now. So we are into new territory now. Politically, first of all, what happens to the 4?
Well, Sophie, both Labour and the Conservatives were quick off the mark this morning, putting out statements that distanced themselves from these alleged misdemeanours. Labour made it clear that the 3 MPs who are facing charges will not be allowed to stand for the party at the next general election, and the Conservatives have suspended the whip from Lord Hanningfield. Essentially, that is throwing him out of the party. He himself has given up his front bench job as a business affairs spokesman for the party. Both Labour and the Conservatives seeking this morning to separate themselves from this affair.
And legally, what happens next?
Well, after an 8-month investigation, things are moving very quickly now. All 4 men are due to appear at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the City of Westminster Magistrates Court, less than half a mile from here, on the 11th of March. And that date, of course, is probably just a couple of weeks from when we expect the general election campaign to be called. Now, while all 4 men have said they refute the charges and that they will robustly defend themselves, the CPS has said this morning that if found guilty, they could face up to 7 years in jail.
Laura Kuensberg from Westminster, thank you very much. The Prime Minister has described a deal to transfer policing and justice powers to the Northern Ireland Assembly as inspirational. He said it sent a signal to every peace process and every conflict across the world that the politics of change and dialogue had succeeded. Democratic Unionists